Good evening.
Good evening.
It's good to see so many people have joined us again this week, and I hope you've had a good week. I've already seen people have joined us from all sorts of different places, and it's really encouraging to see so many people who want to gather like this on a Sunday evening. Would love to be more interactive and to be able to have you talking back to us, but we'll watch the bottom of the screen, and it's great to see some fantastic memories from the past there. Keith Sharp's just joined us, my partner in crime from Aberdeen. We had so much fun together. We'll maybe talk about that in a week or two's time, Keith. It really is good to see you with us this evening, and we've got quite a few folk that have joined us, so you're all very, very welcome tonight. Now, we're in a bit of a quandary now. It's touching the collar. If there's any training college officers from our day, look at that hair. She won't let me touch it. I have charged up the hedge trimmer. She won't let me go near it. For me, it's starting to come round the ears again. Whoa, I'm still able to tuck it in behind, but it's getting a bit dodgy. Coming over the top, like you see, it's starting to follow its natural path again, but as opposed to just sticking up. Well, I think we might have another haircut or two before this lockdown's over.
Yours, not mine.
Wait till she's asleep tonight. It is good to be here and good to be able to share together. We've had a busy week. I have to get the first important announcement in for the Buckie folks. You can have your cup of tea at any time.
You forgot that last week.
I'll remember tonight. Honest, you can have your cup of tea at any time. Just remember to come back. It is good for you to be able to share together like this. Busy week, yes, we're looking forward to Sing and Play. We've got 10 songs already requested. Somebody who's never been to the Sing and Play before has requested a song, so that's really good that people are getting the idea of what we do. And we're enjoying ourselves, but of course it is a closed group. If you want to see what to apply, and if I think you're just doing it for a laugh, Tim's still already got himself into trouble for filming a little bit of I'm a Little Teapot. Well, we've got 9:45 a.m. tomorrow morning, Sing and Play. On Tuesday will be our big food bank day. We look forward to that. It was slightly less busy this week, thankfully. We still had nearly 50 people being helped through the food bank, which again, as I say, for a community the size of ours, that is an incredible number of people needing help. So we had also a very helpful meeting with someone from the Buckie Kindness Group, and we kind of worked out who we can refer to them and who they can refer to us. So that was really helpful this week. We also got a big donation from Too Cute Children's Wear, and we're very grateful to them for thinking of us and being willing to support our work in that way. This weekend, of course, we've had our Messy Church online, and that's available on either of the core, in fact, all of our 4 places. I've put a link for that, and anybody who wants something to do with their children that's Bible-based, the Messy Church is there. It's all about the Sermon on the Mount, so there was a whole lot of material to choose from for that, and I had to pick and choose just a few things from that. But hopefully there's a few people have managed to find their time with their children a bit easier as a result of that. We're grateful for Lieutenants Barry and Helen Dixon for providing the daily prayer, which is still appearing on both core web pages, on the Facebook pages for Buckie and Findochty. And Isobel produced the Strange Times for us again this week, and there was a lot of information and a lot of encouragement from that as well. And we were able to get the papers out to the folk from Findochty this week. The war cry finally arrived. Last week's war cry and Salvationist, and my goodness, it was worth getting last week's Salvationist. Look at that handsome couple there, eh? Look at them. It was well worth getting last week's Salvationist, well worth the wait, I'm sure. So we were able to distribute that yesterday. I don't know if you put a line or two in the strange times about the papers not having arrived yet.
I did, because when I was typing the message, the papers hadn't arrived.
They hadn't arrived. They arrived just after I had printed off all the copies of the Strange Times. So, is that all the introduction?
I think so.
That's a fair bit, wasn't it? For just doing an internet meeting. Just. Well, we're going to start this evening with a song from the Salvation Army songbook, As the Deer Pants for the Water. It's number 571. This is Candidate Sunday for the Salvation Army, and a time for us to think about giving ourselves to God's work, what God's call upon our life really is. And for many people, it could be that they are being called into Salvation Army officership. So please bear that in mind as we spend this time together. As the deer pants for the water, so my soul longs after you. You alone are my heart's desire, and I long to worship you. You alone are my strength, my shield. To you alone may my spirit yield. You alone are my heart's desire, and I long to worship you. I want you more than gold or silver, only you can satisfy. You alone are the real joy giver and the apple of my eye. You alone are my strength, my shield. To you alone may my spirit yield. You alone are my heart's desire, and I long to worship you. You're my friend and you are my brother, even though you are a king. I love you more than any other, so much more than anything. You alone, my strength, my shield. To you alone may my spirit yield. You alone are my heart's desire, and I long to worship you.
And shall we just pray? And Father God, this evening we just thank you again that we are all able to meet in this way. And as we gather together in this way, we know that we are from very many different places, different cultures, and yet we are all one in your family. This evening, as we have just sung, that you are our strength and our shield. And in these uncertain times, may we just know that your presence is with us wherever we are and whatever we're doing. Father, this evening, as we have this act of worship, we just pray that you will indeed be given the honour and glory due to you. That as we share together, as we sing, as we open your word, as we perhaps think about things in the past, we just pray that you will indeed be with us in all that we say and do. Be with those who need you in a special way this evening. Just surround them with your love and uphold them and just put your arms around them. Be with us in all we say and do. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. So, those of you who've been with us from the start of our series of meetings like this will know that we've been spending some time just reliving our happy memories at various different appointments that we've been at. And we're already now at Airdrie. We're not at Airdrie now. As, you know, if you can look behind us, you can see where we are. But we're going to be at Airdrie. So, I think we start before we went to Airdrie.
Yes.
On the Saturday before we found out that we were being appointed to Airdrie, Erland and I went to the football. Guess where? At Airdrie. And he sat, right, anybody from Airdrie listening, he sat with me at half-time, I think. And he said, Dad, I hope they don't send us here. Their football's team is rubbish and they've only got one shop. And I had to say, well, son, they've actually got more than one shop. Where the football team used to play, they knocked that down and they built a big shop there. And that's near where all the shops are. But you're right, their football team is rubbish. We went from there to meet up with Isobel and Ola, who were over at Clydebank at the retirement meeting of the previous officers from Airdrie. So, when we found out where we were going, we were quite excited to go there. And we believed that God had something special in store for us there.
And boy, did he have something special in store.
He certainly did.
Don't think we were quite prepared. I don't know if prepared's the word.
We weren't expecting it to be quite as amazing as it was.
No, but it was amazing.
It certainly was.
Yeah.
And I think early on, there were a few things that were held from us. And I can say that because the divisional commander is no longer a Salvation Army officer. There were a few things held from us as part of that. They were looking to close the Corps, apparently.
Not that we knew that.
No, we
definitely didn't know that.
We didn't know that. And it was just absolutely unbelievable when we found out. And the first kind of hint that we had of that was when Workman had spoken to somebody in the Corps, and somebody in the Corps challenged us about it. We knew absolutely nothing. They had been told to make the hall wind and watertight. And that was it, because they were going to sell the building off. Well, we were absolutely, we couldn't believe it.
Yeah. But then we had, so when we were in the appointment for a few months, maybe a couple of months, the divisional commander then said, you need to look for other premises away from where you are, and maybe go up into the schemes. And I believe that the Lord had said to me, why do you need to move from where you are? Because the hall is right in the centre of town. And we just felt it was the right place. And so we didn't move anywhere else. And we stayed just right where we were in the centre of town. And we were at Airdrie for 7 years, and boy, what an amazing 7 years that was, working with all age groups. And God really blessed us. God challenged us in so many different ways. And we found ourselves doing lots of things that we maybe would never have ever have thought of doing.
Early on, when we arrived there, I was coming to the stage of doing my dissertation for the degree that I'm now teaching, actually. And when we came to that, I wanted to do a project with our young people because I was concerned about the number of people who come up to their teenage years and then just leave the Salvation Army. And I wanted to find a way of trying to increase their own motivation for going along to worship and being part of worship. So I got them together, and first of all, I asked them a set of questions that we would revisit later on about why they went along to worship and such like, about the good things and about the bad things about being part of a worshipping community. And then I said to them, what I want you to do is choose a project to run it yourself, and then come back and speak to me about how you feel about that. So what followed on from that was absolutely incredible, wasn't it?
Yeah. They chose to do a youth fellowship, and one of the young people on the night he was being enrolled as a soldier, and all his friends came, and then we had a youth fellowship afterwards, which they organised. They got the band together, they got the speaker. I organised the food, I think. And there was a few technical hitches that night, and Bruce had to say to them, I'm not the officer, I am the student, Isobel's the officer. But do you know, these young guys, they went, there was a cable missing from the computer or something, and they went and they sourced it all themselves, and they did it. And we had an amazing night. And we came back together afterwards and spoke about how they were feeling. And I think they were feeling motivated. I think they were feeling that they were loved by those in the Corps, that they had a purpose.
They did.
Yeah.
I had kind of noticed that those young people in particular were being valued every place else, but they had no voice when it came to being part of a worshipping community. There was a kind of big gap in the leadership, between those who were just a little bit older than we are now.
Yeah.
Oh. Anyway, those who are just a little bit older than us now, and themselves, there was no kind of leadership in between, really. And they gradually came into those leadership roles. At the end of the study that I did with them, I got them back together, and one of my final questions to them was going to be, so what would you like to do next? But that was already presented to me on the night. And that was just so heartening to know that they had already taken that step of recognising there was something else to do. So from that kind of flowed this whole ethos of, it's great to have ideas. And we had lots of ideas. We encouraged people to have ideas, to share them with us. And I think one of our great mantras was, that's fantastic, we will support you in doing that. So that they were actually doing it because we felt that they really wanted to do it. It had far more chance of succeeding than if we said, this is what we're going to do. So there were so many things happened while we were there that were so encouraging. Then our own generation kind of got on the bandwagon as well, didn't they?
Yeah, quite a few of them came back into soldiership and are still in the Corps and still serving there. And I think there's just so much. We could just spend the whole hour talking about all the things that happened. I'm not saying it was rosy all the time. We had our difficulties, but we overcame them, and we allowed the people to be who they are. I think for me, one of the things was the youth drop-in on a Friday night, where, well, I just remember we had the Wii and we had the Xbox and we had whatever. And the nights that Bobby wasn't able to come, he had his Uncle Robert, and Robert Brown would come, and the two of us, we would be sitting playing the Wii, and the kids would all be in the corner, chatting and everything, So, but it was good, and it was good to be able to come and to have a safe place. I think that's what it was. It was a safe place for our young people to be, and to invite their friends, and they did. I mean, we had quite a few non-army friends that came on a Friday night to a safe place where their parents would know where they were. And we didn't do the same thing every week. We did different things every weekend. When it was somebody's birthday, we had a party, we celebrated it. It might not have been on the night, but we would have cake. And we just had this time. We had film night. We had just lots of different things. And I know that it was just a safe place for them to be. So that's one of my very happy memories of Mayor Day. And I did always beat Robert Brown at dominoes. If he sat on my left-hand side, I always used to beat him. And he always used to realise until it was too late. But we used to have a good laugh, and it was really good.
Whilst you were at the youth fellowship then, I was out doing the pubs with the War Cry, with Richard to start with, and then with Ted. And we built up so many fantastic relationships as we went around the pubs. It is the only place that I've ever had a birthday party in the pub. They had a cake ready. Ted and I have our birthdays 2 days apart. And somehow they got to word of that, and we had our birthday cake in Shunters, May Gribben. It was fantastic. And as well, I got free tickets to the football at Motherwell. I know it was only at Motherwell, but it was free tickets nonetheless. And we didn't tell Letty because she'd done the pubs for quite a few years, and she
got nothing.
She hadn't anything.
She never even
like
got
that.
a birthday party, did she?
No, never mind. And when we left, I got a card signed by all the regulars.
Yeah.
If David Smith's watching, it was one of your relations was in one of the pubs there, and there was a whole group of them who signed a card for us, and we really, really appreciated that.
Yeah. I think too, we had a couple of community days, didn't we?
Mm-hmm. Which we were not the main organisers of.
No.
That was all part of this
thing. And it was fantastic just to have all the core sections on, to have, I think we had the van from Bells Hill that came over, and we did burgers and everything from the van, and people came into the hall, and they came in and found out about the army, and our core people were willing, even from the youngest to the very oldest, to speak to people about what the army does and about Jesus. And do you remember we got the dog outfit?
We did.
Debbie went in it. Ellen went in it.
Who does not like dogs.
She doesn't like dogs, so that was quite funny. And it was really good. And they went out and contacted people. And we had just such a great day. The band, the songsters, the YP band, you know, all the sections were out taking part, and we offered lots of things, and lots of people got involved, and there was something for everybody in the core to be involved in, and that was so good, and just have happy memories of that.
Yeah. There are just so many things. I think we might have to return to Airdrie another time, because there are so many things that we haven't included yet.
Yeah. But I think the one thing was that we all relied on God, and I think because we were determined that the core wasn't going to close its doors, that we were going to keep going, and God really blessed us again and again and again. People coming in the doors, you know, people getting saved. It was just, I just can't even put into words.
It was such a joy having to send away for more articles of war. That's the Soldiers' Covenant that people sign when they're becoming a member of the Salvation Army. It was just such a joy to have to get more of those and to use them as people came to know God and used it, then belonged and worshipped there and gave themselves to God.
One of the funny things, and I'm going to share this when it's in my mind, do you remember the car treasure hunt we had?
I do indeed.
It was to help the kids to go to summer school, because I think we had something like a dozen kids going, and the parents of the kids all kind of got together and organised this car treasure hunt, and it was to be in a barbecue, but I don't know if it was a very great day, but we had hot dogs and stuff. Major Adams set off first. Yes. Everybody else was back, and there was no sign of Major Adams. I think about 3 hours later she came in. I don't know. We all had different starting questions, so that we all went different ways, but I don't know what happened to her. She did come back.
She was away to Cumbernauld.
Yeah, I don't know. None of the rest of us were in Cumbernauld. But just one of the days of fellowship that we had together, where we shared and we just had such a lovely day of fellowship. And I remember standing in the kitchen, and I think it was with Bobby and Elaine, Joanne, Robert, Margaret. We were all standing in the kitchen, and Bobby Senior saying to me, out there, how wonderful is that? And to see the hall full of people, and because we opened it to anybody that wanted to come, and it was just such a lovely time of fellowship.
Yeah, I don't think we could fit 7 years into.
I don't think we can fit 7 years into. No. So
I think we'll have to come back to Airdrie next week. So if you're from Airdrie listening in, come back next week. Hopefully we'll have them hooked.
Well, I hope so.
I hope so.
I'm hoping they're going to come back next week.
Anyway. Okay. We're going to turn to another song now, number 565 in the Salvation Army songbook, if you have one. All I once held dear, built my life upon.
Play this one.
That's not even going to help me.
All I once held dear, built my life upon. All this world is and wants to own. All I once thought gain, I have counted loss. Spent and worthless now, compared to this. Knowing you, Jesus, knowing you, there is no greater gain. You're my all, you're the best, you're my joy, my righteousness, and I love you, Lord. Now my heart's desire is to know you more, to be found in you, and known as yours, to possess by faith what I could not earn, all surpassing gift of righteousness. Knowing you, Jesus, knowing you, there is no greater gain. You're my all, you're the best, you're my joy, my righteousness, and I love you, Lord. Want to know the power of your risen life, and to know you in your sufferings, to become like you in your death, my Lord. So with you to live and never die, knowing you, Jesus, knowing you, there is no greater gain. You're my all, you're the best, you're my joy, my righteousness, and I love you, Lord. Love you, Lord.
Well, Isobel and I had a little conversation as we were preparing the meeting this week, and I said to her, I want us to talk about our most valuable possessions for a little while. I've struggled.
Me too. Me too.
Well, I've had a look around the house to look for anything valuable.
I don't have anything that's of any value. I don't think. I've got lots of bits and pieces that I would say, I treasure them.
Yeah.
But there's too many to even think about.
The only thing that I could think of, which would have been the most expensive thing, would be the TV.
Probably. I wouldn't say I cherish it.
No. I honestly can't think of it.
Around the house, there's lots of little things that people have given to us that when I look at them, they remember it. And I remember when my granny died, Mum said to me, I'll take something. And it was, I got a couple of wee vases, but I don't know what it is. It's like a wee jar. It's about this size. And my Auntie Isa said that she always remembers it being in Granny's house. So they reckon that she must have got it as a wedding present. But I would say that would be, and I don't even think it's worth anything. I think it's just a keepsake.
There's no intrinsic value in it.
No.
It's, sorry kids, if you're watching.
There's nothing of great value. Nothing that's worth a lot.
Yes. But we do have so many things that we have memories attached to. And I think that's really important because whilst, we could have lots of things with a value, at the end of the day, they're going to mean nothing. But if we've got something that helps us to remember someone else or remember happy times or things that we've really enjoyed, then that's to me is far, far more valuable. The kids will obviously disagree when it comes to trying to divide things up.
There might be something that is of antique value that we don't know about, apart from us.
I thought you had something stashed away there.
No.
Yeah, I mean, one of the strange things for me is I've taken off all but my wedding ring. I've got 2 other rings. Now, I'm still adjusting. I spin the ring round on this finger, but it's not there, and I'm still doing it. And I sort the ring on this finger because it slips round, and I'm still doing that even though it's not there. That's really odd. That's still stuck with me.
I think if you were to think about most valuable, not so much possessions, but things that we would value, I think faith would be the most important thing, and family would be as long as we've got those things, it doesn't matter about anything else. I don't think, and friends.
Yeah. There are some things that I would be sad to lose. If heaven forbid we had a fire in the house or something, there are things that I would be really sad to lose. There are things that we have taken with us for a number of years, and I just grab this out of the corner of my eye.
Oh dear, what are you seeing?
Do you remember Soldier Erland? Yeah? He's still with us, and he's featuring as part of the Sing and Play at the moment.
Actually, he's downstairs because we kind of took him down for Seth to play with when he came.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those kind of things are treasures. As they are. Those and photographs, perhaps, are things that I would really kind of treasure.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, they are only things. And we still have memories, and they may help to jog those memories. But the most important things to us are, as you say, our faith and our family. And those are the things that keep us steady when there's so many other things that try to buffet us, so many things that would throw us, knock us sideways, really. Our faith and our family are there right through it all. And we're so grateful for that. And of course, that is boosted by the number of friends that we have as well. And we are just so grateful that we have so many friends as well. God has been so, so good to us. And, even if you've only tuned in this week for the first time, you'll realise how many times that God has blessed us over and over again. And it's a real blessing for us to be able to look back over some of the things that we've done in our ministry and things that have come our way in our ministry, because we haven't done everything. God's done an awful lot for us, and been absolutely amazing. So,
and it's still happening.
It is.
When we think about the food bank, and sometimes we think, how are we going to survive? And the food comes in.
Well, I just keep going back to that first Christmas when we were out of college to Kilmarnock South, and we suddenly had another 20 plus names to feed on Christmas Day, because the Church of Scotland minister very kindly dropped
24
other names through our letterbox on Christmas Eve, late afternoon. And God supplied. Yeah. And God is still supplying now. So that lesson really stood me in good stead over coming up for 29 years this month. Wow.
Yep.
Wow. We're getting old. Yeah. It's always good to have an older wife, even at that. But yeah, 29 years.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We've been so blessed. So we're now at the point of, we're recognising this is Candidate Sunday, where we have to think about, to think about what God's call on our life really is. And I'm just so grateful that all those years ago I did respond positively to God's call on my life. And it was the right time, and that God has used us in ways that we just could never have imagined. that we've been blessed to be in so many different places where God has worked in us, God has worked through us. We've just been so amazingly blessed.
Yeah.
And it's not just for us. There are many other people that God speaks to. We have seen people being called by God to local ministries, and we have been so grateful to have been blessed with having such wonderful local officers and people doing not even a thing that they're recognised for, but doing small things within their community, not even always at the Salvation Army, but doing things for neighbours, doing things for family or friends, because God has called them to do that. So if God is calling you, listen to his voice. Listen to what he's saying to you. Be guided, be directed by him, and share it with someone, because it's too easy to hide it, to keep it to yourself and wait for it to go away. So share it with someone, and they will confirm or they'll challenge what you're saying. I'm going to turn to another song now. Number 623 was a song that way back, many centuries ago, not long after the Bible. No, that's another song, isn't it? I led our songsters in at Dundee, and then this was also one that was used at the Congress when I responded to God and accepted his call upon my life. Take my life and let it be consecrated, Lord, to thee.
Take my life and let it be consecrated, Lord, to thee. Take my moments and my days, let them flow in ceaseless praise. Take my hands and let them move at the impulse of thy love. Take my feet and let them be swift and beautiful for thee. Take my voice and let me sing. All is holy for my King. Take my lips and let them be filled with messages from thee. Take my sin and my gold, not a mind to die with gold. Take my hands and legs and toes, every part as thou shalt choose. Take my will and make it thine. It shall be no longer mine. Take my heart, it is thine own. It shall be thy royal throne. Take my love, my Lord, I pour out thy gate, its treasure store. Take myself, and I will
And as I say, those words had a big impact on me as a young man, very young man indeed. And God has proved faithful all those years since then. I'm going to share in our scripture reading for this evening now, just a short one.
Reading from Mark chapter 12 and commencing to read at verse 41. Jesus sat down opposite the place where the offerings were put and watched the crowd putting their money into the temple treasury. Many rich people threw in large amounts, but a poor widow came and put in 2 very small copper coins, worth only a fraction of a penny. Calling his disciples to him, Jesus said, "I tell you the truth, this poor widow has put more into the treasury than all the others. They all gave out of their wealth, but she, out of her poverty, put in everything, all she had to live on." Amen.
Now I've got just a few seconds from this week.
You're not that busy that you can't turn and wave to the camera. Come on. Elizabeth, thank you.
There we are. This week, as we're preparing for the food bank, our hall in Buckie has been taken over by the food that's there. And normally, we would just use the office, and the office was kind of taken over before that, to be quite fair and honest. But there's absolutely no way that we could get the amount of food that's being donated stored within that office at the moment, because there's so many people who are needing help at this time. There's been a reassessment of what's important to people in these past days. People who suddenly have found that the jobs that were good jobs, were reliable jobs, were providing a fantastic income, they're no longer there. People who were able to go out and about and live pretty normal lives suddenly have been confined to their homes. Their freedoms have been taken from them because there may be a health problem that's underlying, but one that normally they can cope pretty well with. But because of this virus, they're confined to their home for weeks on end. There's been a re-evaluation of what's important to people, and that opportunity to sit down for many and just have a look at what is important, to realise as the days turn into weeks and the weeks are starting to turn into months, what really is so important? What are they struggling to live without? And for many people, it's other people. It's just that basic human interaction with other people that they are missing so desperately. For many, it's their families. As you know, we miss our family. We would have made up with some of our family members in the intervening period of time. We have to live our lives pretty much just the two of us. We do. Most of the time, it's the two of us that spend most of our time together. But then we have our family, and it's an absolute joy to meet up with our family. We can't do that just now. I can't take a run down to Dundee or to Glasgow. Can't arrange to meet Erland. I was going to meet him in Perth just as it all kind of kicked off. And I'm not able to do that. We can't think about, can we fit in just a few days that we can get up to Orkney to see how Seth's getting on? Can't do that. And for many people, that's one of the most difficult things. Our experience of this lockdown is going to be different from an awful lot of people, because in many ways we are almost busier now than we were before, because there are phone calls coming in, people wanting things picked up. People have been just so generous, incredibly generous. And we are going to pick up goods that are going to be passed on to other people. We're delivering the goods that are passed on to people. We are the messenger, really. We have the strange times to be delivered, and we have the war cries to be delivered to people as well. And we're on the go the whole time. We're preparing for this evening, and we're prepared for tomorrow morning. And we're trying to keep in touch with people. Isobel's on the phone because she's very good at talking and must be good at listening as well, because some of the phone calls are lasting an hour or more to our people. Because, yeah, if you're not hearing anybody else, it is fantastic to have someone showing that they care. And that's a very, very valuable ministry. So we're reevaluating what is actually important. And that's what happened on this day as Jesus sat with his disciples, just watching what was going on at the temple. And this little old lady, well, she might not have been little, she might not have been particularly old, but we can imagine her as such, went to the offering, following all these people who were able to put in large sums of money. And let's face it, as a Salvation Army officer, you're always delighted when somebody comes with a large sum of money. But equally, this is recognising the value to this lady of what she gave. She gave all she had to live on that day. It cost her far more than those who were throwing in vast amounts of money, because they had it. They had the money and they really wouldn't miss it, to be quite honest. But this lady, it was costing her an awful lot. And that for the disciples would be a moment of, hopefully, the light bulb was switching on. Hopefully they were realising that how they value people shouldn't be measured in their financial value, because their financial value to the kingdom is not the most important thing. The value of their heart, the value of what they do with their lives, that's what's really important. How they treat other people, how they value other people, how they bring out the best in other people. That's what's so important. The disciples could have looked and dismissed that lady as she gave her gift. But Jesus helped them to see something that was staring them right in the face, that this lady was so committed to God. So committed to God. And today, as we think of Candidate Sunday and God's call upon our lives, I pray that you will think about what you give to God. It's not just a financial offering that God wants, nor God needs. In fact, God really doesn't need the financial offering. He needs our lives. What we have been given by him, to be given back to him, to be used by him. God has used us to show love, care. At times we don't even remember. But God has done that. And people remember that they were loved. And I thank God because he's done that for us, for people who showed they cared for us. When perhaps we weren't even looking for anyone to show that they cared. People showed that they cared. And I'm so grateful for that. So I pray that in these coming days, that indeed you listen, you look to find out what it is God requires of you. What privilege God is going to lay on you. And you respond positively to that. May God bless you. Before we finish, we're going to turn to number 635 in the songbook. Song 635. When the music fades, all is stripped away, and I simply come, longing just to bring something that's of worth, that will bless your heart. I'll bring you more than a song, for a song in itself is not what you have required. You search much deeper within, through the way things appear. You're looking into my heart. When the music fades, all is stripped away, and I simply come, longing just to bring something that's of worth, that will bless your heart. I'll bring you more than a song, for a song in itself is not what you have required. It's much deeper within, through the way things appear. You're looking into my heart. I'm coming back to the heart of worship, and it's all about you, Jesus. I'm sorry, Lord, for the thing I've made it, but it's all about you, Jesus. King of endless blood, no one could express how much you deserve. Though I'm weak and poor, all I have is yours, every single breath. I'll bring you more than a song, for a song in itself is not what you have designed. You search much deeper within, through the way things appear. You're looking into my heart. I'm coming back to the heart of worship, and it's all about you, Jesus. I'm sorry, Lord, for the thing I made it, and it's all about you, Jesus. Earlier on today, we looked online and again found encouraging news about Major Carol Gray. He seems to be coming on very well. From where he's been, he still has a long way to go. So please continue to pray for him. We also received sad news this week of the promotion to glory of a former divisional commander, Major Roger Rasmussen. Many of you will remember him. He came just as we were going to the training college, so 31 years ago. He was divisional commander in North Scotland. So could you please pray for his family and friends at this time as well?
And again this evening at 7 o'clock, we light our candle again. And this evening we're thinking about the Lord as our shepherd, who in these times has been looking after us. And so I just ask you to join with me in prayer at this time as we light this candle. And so we pray. Good Shepherd, watch over us today in all we face and experience. Never leave us or forsake us, and journey with us. Lord, in your mercy, hear our prayer. Good Shepherd, you know us as no one else knows us. Guard us and keep us, as you guard and keep those whom we love. Lord, in your mercy, hear our prayer. Good Shepherd, we pray for the sick and the lonely, for the anxious and the bereaved, for those whose pain is beyond our comprehension. We stand with them and commend them to your care. Lord, in your mercy, hear our prayer. Good Shepherd, we pray for the carers in hospitals and homes, and for all who serve the needs of others. May the example of loving compassion inspire us in our care for others. Lord, in your mercy, hear our prayer. Good Shepherd, you know the depths of our hearts and the fears which are ours. Speak into the depths of our heart and calm our fears. Lord, in your mercy, hear our prayer. Good Shepherd, you know us, and our identity is not hidden from you. Gather us to yourself as a shepherd gathers the sheep, that we may know your name. Lord, in your mercy, hear our prayer. And Father, just in these moments, surround us with your love. And as we all go our separate ways now, we just pray that you will go with us and be with us all. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you for joining us. It would be lovely to see you again next week. We'll be at the same time, 6 o'clock, at the same place. Okay, bye-bye. Have a good
Bye.
week. Stay safe. Bless you.